Oh, hi. I didn't know anyone could see me. Oh, shit. I just, is the screening still going on?
I think the people are wrapping it up right now. I think that I just finished. So you're like arriving right on time. This
Oh,
perfect,
good.
like
Oh,
you
good.
felt it psychically.
I did it. um,
Awesome.
do you have a bunch of people, or I don't know how these work? I know Tony Todd, who I know did one last month.
Yeah, so as people are coming back from the movie, and I think we're live actually right now, that they will join us after they're all done. But I mean, we can just begin our conversation.
Are they seeing us now?
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Let me focus then. Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. It's kind of amazing to me that people still dig this movie.
Are you kidding? This movie is like, first of all, like it's every teenage girl's like rite of passage. Like I feel like every teenage girl, you either like a craft girl or like you're not. Like there's like, and I can,
That's
and
true.
I can only like fuck with craft girls. Like if you're a girl that was into the craft, then we're gonna be friends. But if you're not, like clearly, like we're not gonna kick it. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing I think is interesting about that and why it resonates so much, I think, is you said girls, right? Like not even
Yeah.
women, but girls. And because I'm always amazed, no matter how much I grow up, like teenagers love me, and I'm like, huh? But it's girls. And the reason the craft resonates, I think, is because it's a fun movie, right? Like it's just fun, but also the analogy between female burgeoning sexuality and our power, we feel more powerful as we begin to understand that this and this and these and this combined with this equals something other than what our experience had been before that. So that's why I always say with the craft, if you notice, like as our powers get stronger, our skirts get shorter. I mean,
Yes.
that's just movie bullshit, but at the same time, it is a good analogy for how scary women, girls become to men, patriarchy as they feel their power. So.
Right. Yes, I didn't even really think about that because all I could think about was how every like piece of clothing that's in this movie is now back in fashion.
I know. I know. I guess I wish I'd kept more of my stuff, but at the same time, I'm fine. I actually liked our 90s style. The thing is that's funny is when you shoot a movie, the clothes, right? You don't
Yeah.
realize you're shooting a moment because you're living through it. Like a lot of people, younger people I know really idolize the fashion of the 90s. And I'm like, we didn't know it was fashion. It's what the fuck we were wearing.
I don't know. I mean, that kind of like witchy sort of a look, that sort of black kind of, but it's like a very West Coast gothy kind of a look, you know?
That's a good point because I'm from the East Coast and
Yeah.
New York City, and I moved out to California maybe 4 years before I got this movie, 3 or 4 years. And you're right, it's a very West Coast because on the East Coast we wouldn't even fuck with the blips of color that they had. It would have just been 100%. You guys probably know this already, but I just read the other day that like steampunk is when goths discovered the color brown. And I was like, that's a little true. I'm sure
Yeah,
it's an old joke, but I was like, that's a little true because the outfits are sort of similar,
right. Are you getting into steampunk at all?
No, I'm not into steampunk per se or anything like that. But what I do like to do, and I'm going to throw this out because we are still in the middle of a pandemic, right? And it's been really hard for everybody who isn't a required worker, essential worker, who doesn't have a job to what to do. So I've been filling my time with writing scripts.
Nice.
I'm working on scripts and another book, but also sewing. I've always sewed off and on just for fun. It's very meditative. I used to make paper collages, and sewing is very much like collaging or putting together a puzzle. So I have been sewing these weird old-timey outfits that are not steampunk as much as they looks like I'm going to go to lunch with the queen, like these old-timey outfits. And I
love
just
it.
It's fun for me, and it keeps it like I'm developing a skill. So when the apocalypse comes, I can be the one who makes the clothes. I guess.
Oh no, we're so close to the end times. I'm getting so
Yeah, we
nervous.
are. Yeah, we
Oh my
are.
goodness. So I have
Yeah.
to ask you though, how are you throughout all of this stuff? How are you handling the world
Oh,
right now?
pretty fine. I mean, again, luckily I'm a grown up, and I think that has helped me. I think if I was younger, I would be really freaked out by everything. And it's not that I'm not really freaked out by
Yeah.
everything. It's just that I kind of understand that I don't know what's happening, and flipping out, is I think for me, because I'm someone who can control my flip outs, is a
Mhm.
cop out for me. There are other people who can't control their flip outs, right? It's just
Yeah.
like that's different. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is a few of us who can control it, then it's your fucking duty to stay calm
Right.
and grounded and try to
Mhm.
walk as gracefully through this uncomfort and discomfort that we're in. That's how I look at it. And again, I'm sure if I was, in high school, I would have a different mindset. This is just from a lifetime of living where I overstand that a
Right.
lot is happening, and a lot of it I don't have information on, right? So
Right.
all I can do is be a little calm and stoic, and do things that calm me down, rather than engaging in things that make me super upset and
Right.
like this. I'm not saying I don't feel sad. Like I live in a neighborhood in Los Angeles that definitely saw some action.
Mhm.
And it was hard, watching this beautiful protest and then seeing this terrible destruction come
Right.
after it by different people. So, I'm not saying I don't have moments that are up and down or reapiness or this or that. I do. I just try not to judge it, and I try to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's me
yeah.
though.
No, but that's great because you can't sustain the freak out, you know?
I think
Like,
it makes us sick when we are
yeah.
that fever pitched and anxiety all the time. It leads to, not to sound too hippy dippy here, you guys, but it leads to disease in our bodies. And I think there's a reason why. Granted, I have a ring light on right now, and I'll keep this shit on because if you fucking 20-year-olds can have a ring light, so can I. But it's all natural. Like I don't do any Botox or fillers or things like that women my
Are you
age do in Hollywood. What I
are
do
you
is I eat
serious?
really, I'm 1,000% serious. I don't even wear a goddamn weave or any of the things the other girls have done. What I do is when I assess that as I've grown older, and this is really valid
Yeah.
for you guys who are teens and 20s too. I know it's maybe a little boring, but I just thought, how do I feel when I eat
Yeah.
this thing or do this thing or see this person or whatever it is? And then I try to roll with, oh, energetically, I don't feel very good if I eat that thing or see that person. So I try to, when I can, do the right thing for my body for sure. So I don't eat meat, I don't eat dairy. I'm luckily not a drinker by nature. Like I just don't like
Mm.
liquor. It doesn't agree with my system. I do smoke some weed. That's my anti-anxiety medicine.
Yes.
But that's for me. It is not for everyone. And I always say that because sometimes if you have schizophrenia, we can exacerbate that, right? So that's why I'm never saying you should do what I do. What I'm saying is, though, I've found what I think works for me.
I
And I
mean,
encourage other people to do the same, to use your intuition to figure out what works for you, because my goal is to see where all this goes naturally.
first of all, like I can't even okay, whatever you're doing, you need to write that in the book because I need to know. I need to know everything from sun up to sundown
That's
because
very kind of you. A lot of this is the ring light, though. Like, let's be real. Light. No,
it's
I'm saying lighting is the key to everything, people. Why do you think movie actors look so good? Because someone has spent 2 hours rigging 20 lights around them to make it
that's
look like
true.
sun. That's the truth.
Yeah, you are like gorgeous. Like you know, when I was telling everybody that we were going to be talking, everybody was just like, oh my god, I have such a crush on her. She's so gorgeous.
Oh,
She's so, and like the fact that like, and I think that also it has to do with the fact that you have such a great energy. You know what I mean? Like we haven't
I
met
think
before.
energy is a huge part of it. That's why I bored your audience, because I'm sure they have questions about the craft. But that's why I bored them with like eating and things like that. Because as much as I love a box of donuts, and I fucking do, I love baked goods so much. I don't really eat them though because I don't feel good
Yeah.
when I eat them. That's the truth. And I love
Uh,
that. I love a brick of cheese, you guys, so much. I could eat a whole brick of cheese, but I don't eat it because I don't feel good. And that started to
right.
outweigh the fun in the moment, if that makes any sense,
Mhm.
like the because I do feel pretty good, especially like I was the older one out of the group of the women in the movie. And I just know that like you can feel good in your body naturally at any age.
Right, right. I don't want to make it seem like I'm not paying attention because I'm also paying attention to the chat and the questions that are coming in as well.
I know.
So
I
if you
feel like
see my eyes going
thank you
around.
people for letting me go on my health soapbox. But listen, our health is, to me, it's so tied, right, with our
Yeah.
mental state and our everything. What people don't know is I had a big health thing a bunch of years ago, and that helped inspire me to give up cigarettes and do all that kind of stuff that's important to do when you feel ready for it.
Yeah, no, I think that this is really great. And like, I truly value, because one of the questions that I wanted to ask personally was, how do you keep looking good? Like, that is one of the things that I wanted to ask. So thank you so much for like
Well,
doing
and
that. Because,
and the rest of that answer is nobody looks good all the time. I put on some makeup for you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of pictures that are terrible floating around because, like, I rarely wear makeup if I'm not doing an interview or on camera or something like that. Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, people, I encourage you to listen to your intuition with your body, because we all know when we drink something and then we're like, that was a bad idea. It might have been.
Yeah. And like, I also have to say that you were on the show Half and Half, which I loved. As a biracial kid, that show was like really huge for me, and I loved it. And I love the things that you guys would talk about on that show. And like, I love the craft, but also I'm really happy that we could make this work, because I just wanted to let you know that that show was like, it was so huge for me. So
No,
thank
I
you.
really appreciate that, because when we talk about the disparities in Hollywood, you know, a lot of people might not know that show because it was on Black Night. You know what I'm saying? The nights it was a bit still, even when that show was on 10 years ago, TV was still a little segregated, frankly.
Yes. Yeah.
I was literally on a block of comedies on Black Night. So I'm always amazed when white people come up. They're like, especially white men, they seem to love that sitcom. And they're like, bearded white hillbillies are like, I love your sitcom. And I'm like, thank you. That actually is really sweet. To me, I love comedy, by the way. I think another thing I will say to people is a sense of humor, which is, you know, not always easy to have. But I think even in the most absurdly horrible situations, there's always usually a moment where the tension breaks because something weird or funny happens. And so I guess in my life, I just try to remember that, like, I have to take everything with a grain of salt and have a sense of humor, because life is absurd. Life is weird and absurd, and you get thrown. So I know the audience listening to this knows this is true. You get thrown so many curveballs in life that if you are stuck on what it should have been, then you will be stuck on what it should have been, rather than, oh, okay, that happened.
Right.
Okay, it's not going to happen again. Like, for instance, and I'll share, because everyone always thinks actors are so loaded and stuff. Like on my sitcom, I got a terrible deal on the you know, when it shows on cable now still. I don't make any money off that.
Really?
None. So, and that's painful, except let me just say to your audience, I'm telling the story for a reason. That's a fucking drag for me right now, when other people are making a lot of money off my work, right?
Yeah.
But my personal thing is, have your annoyance and anger, but really I'm angry at myself and my agents, right? And once I got done at my agents, I went, well, I signed it. I have responsibility in this situation. You cannot be a victim, you know? The girls in the craft, not victims, right? They take their power into their own hands. So for me, it's like, that really sucks that, you know, I'm on TV all the time and I'm not making any money. But my next thing, when the world goes back and maybe there's movies again, it'll be a different deal. I won't sign that kind of deal again, Elfin. And then let go, and you're not carrying around your agita.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all like lessons, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for everyone, for every one of these actresses in the craft, for every one of you listening, for you. Life is just a series of lessons, isn't it? Some of them are much more fun than others, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing okay in all of this, you know, all this chaos and all this stuff that's going on right now, especially being in LA. And for anybody that's watching, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat and the moderator will pull them out so that I can read them. So let's start from the beginning. I kind of want to hear what your inspiration was for getting into the arts. I wanted to know, like,
oh, well, I had a stepmother who was an actress. And I write about this stuff. Like, we'll talk about my book later, but part of it are memoir essays. So it was really interesting to go back and think about my life. But part of how I got into this was my stepmom, who I didn't really get along with when I was very, very young, was a theater actress. And I remember seeing her on stage and going, oh, she's so different and powerful up there. You can be anyone you want. So that's probably, and I was, you know, in the back of a theater a lot as a child. So that's probably how I really got into it. And then I had to work really hard because I didn't have any connection. She was a theater actress, but like she wasn't a famous one. And then she stopped. So I didn't have any connections in the business is what I'm trying to say. I didn't have an uncle in Hollywood which is 75% of the actors, you know, have an uncle or a trust fund. To be able to have a career in the arts, you know. So I worked really hard in my earlier years. Like I hustled like a mother. The way that you don't necessarily have to today, by the way, I don't think you young people should have to do 3 free internships at the same time like I did while bartending. I really don't. I was tired. I fell asleep a lot, but I was also very young and had the energy, right? So I'm not even begrudging that I did that, but I will say I think people should be paid for their time, period. So that's kind of how I started, but I was willing, you know, to really fucking work and hustle. Like I get letters from, this is for you guys listening. Like when you send letters to actors, you know, or people saying, can you help me be an actor? No, is my answer. Because that's what you've sent. Like, here's the crazy thing. If you want help from someone, send a proper letter, email, whatever, DM, whatever it is, but you introduce yourself. And then you tell them I've already taken this class and done this thing. And you let people, you sort of say, let people know why they would want to invest their time. Because people like me and many, many way bigger people like Quentin Tarantino, I don't know him well, but I was with him in a group of people and someone came up, said, hey, this is my film. Would you watch it? And he went back and watched it. And sometimes I will click on people's links, but if they haven't introduced themselves or I don't give a shit. No, I got 6 million cousins who want me to help make them an actor. Why should I help you? God damn it. Seriously. Not to be a dick about it or anything.
No, but I mean, you've only got so much time. You've only got so much energy, you know. You can't give it up to everybody.
Also, people are asking for something. So, you know, like what I think is when people ask me for like, they say, can you do this or do blah, blah, I think I see this person is comfortable in stating their needs. That's all I know.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think that you have to really be careful about your energy. Who are you giving energy to? Who's taking it? You know, what are they giving back? And
I mean, you do have to want to offer people stuff back. And I don't mean money. I mean, like, what is it? Are you a good listener? Or are you just taking? Are you a what? You know, like there's give and take and reciprocity in every situation. So, one thing I did 2 movies I've been really took a break and focused on writing this book that I've been working on, but I did a couple movies last year and I'm so bummed because I'm like, I don't even know if anyone's ever going to see them or what's happening in Hollywood now, but I think eventually we'll all kind of figure out what it is in our new norm, because I actually think we were headed in a weird direction anyway. I'm not saying we needed this. We didn't at all. I never could have called this, but I think it's an opportunity to kind of create what we want now.
Oh, totally. No, this is like a cultural reset moment. Like,
if that makes sense. I'm not saying I wanted it though, but it is what it is. That's what I'm a big believer in. Like, I realize like most of my pain in my life is from struggling against what already happened that I can't believe I didn't get this or this guy or this. And then like, I realized like, oh, my biggest problem is I can't believe. So how about I believe that shit happened because it did.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that this is a unique opportunity. I mean, like even this project, you know, we were kind of like limited to like the physical space, the physical time. You know, and now though, we're not. Now we're just floating in the internet and we can do whatever we want kind of, you know, so it's been actually a great opportunity. So
it's weird, but so for people, by the way, for people listening who are interested in becoming actors and stuff, it's not enough just to have a desire to be it. I mean, that's great. You have to have that, right? But you want to maybe get in a class. Just like if you were going to do anything, be a painter or a dentist or a bricklayer or whatever the fuck it is, you would have to learn a little about it. Acting and writing and artsy things are things that some people can stumble in and be amazing.
Right.
Amazing. Most people can, and a little bit of technique and knowing what you're doing and knowing how to listen to a director when he's giving you direction. All that's really helpful and will help you book the role as even more so than your desire, frankly.
Right. Yeah.
And then and then it doesn't hurt to have some charisma on camera. That's the truth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel your sort of natural kind of charisma. I mean, were you always kind of like a kid that was comfortable on stage and performance?
No, I was a very shy kid. And I write about some of this in the book, but like I was in foster care from like 0 to 4, right? So that was like sort of people always think I'm like such a bougie princess, and I'm like, you can think what you want. But I was in foster care, and then my dad actually came and got us. So at 4.5. So it's very shy and insular, and I still am. I'm a very extroverted introvert, meaning I can give you this energy now, but I would probably like just sit and do something very quiet and solitary afterwards. And I've always been like that, especially when I was shooting half and half. After the taping days and stuff, I would have to, actually every day, I would have to just come home and sit and be quiet.
Yeah.
But I'm very effusive, obviously. And, I think I have that duality within me. Maybe it's a Scorpio thing. I don't know.
Oh, are you a Scorpio?
I am.
Oh, okay. Wait, what's your moon and your rising?
I think it's like, you know what? I think I have a Capricorn rising, and then my moon is Scorpio. Like I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart. So I'm just learning about astrology now. I've known about it, but I'm learning the intricacies of it now. Didn't know much before, but I find it interesting. I've always been on to esoteric studies. Like, for example, with the craft, and I've told this before, but I'll tell it again because it is truth, is I'd always had tarot decks, growing up, and but maybe like 9 months before, and I'd moved to Hollywood and worked a bunch, and then all of a sudden things got really slow. And I was like, oh, fuck. So early in the mid-90s, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't know what to do. And then my TV broke, even though I only had like 3 channels. I don't think I had cable, but the TV broke. And I was like, no, I have no TV and no job. And I decided not to fix the TV or get a new TV, and just really throw myself into my stuff, which is what I do all the time with different things, by the way, because people are always like, what do you do to keep busy? And I get asked a lot, and anything and everything. Like I've been, like I said, sewing, and I've been learning about sewing and getting better at it. So that's what I've done this particular little batch of time. But at this time in the mid-90s, so my TV's broken, and I'm living in Venice by the beach, and I'm so I just really delved into my tarot cards and started taking, copious notes and and doing all that. And then I'm not kidding you, like someone came like 9 months later, my friends were over, and they were like, your TV, oh, I could fix it. And all of a sudden the TV was fixed, and I was like, that's so weird. And then the craft script showed up like a week or two later. And so I just felt really prepared for it. And by the time I got it, but I also had to work hard, by the way, to get that audition because they were only reading white people at the time. And so I had to really fight and elbow my way in. Originally, that character, Rochelle, was bulimic. She wasn't black. Right. She was bulimic. There wasn't any racism. It was just she was bulimic. And so anyway, I just really had to, I've always had to work the angles a little bit. There's times when I stop because I'm tired, like in a way having a break from acting, which happened because I got sick. And then my team disappeared, my agents and stuff disappeared. But out of that, which was terrible, but out of that came a little break from acting, which I didn't really mind, and writing a book and doing other good things. And so, again, it's weird when things go this way. Sometimes I've always thought I was going to write a book. So this is a perfect timing for that. So anyway, back to the craft. The other thing about shooting that. So when we finally screen tested for the movie, cut to like 4 auditions later, 5 auditions later, and we have a real proper screen test. By that I mean, normally when you're an actor and you audition, you were just in a little room with the people across from you, and you're reading the scene, blah 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 blah, or you're not reading it, you're remembering it, acting it, reciting it. Anyway, this was like on a sound stage with a film camera and like a whole huge big screen test. So that with Firuza and not Nev, and Robin was in Bonnie's role, and someone else was testing for Nancy. No, not Nancy. What's her name? Sarah. So we did this whole screen test, and they also had another group of girls. We didn't know this, in a back room. There were like 8. We shot for 8 hours, and they had the B team of girls in the back room for the entire 8 hours.
Oh
Waited until we did our screen test. Anyway, so then I get home that night from the screen test, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great. And there's a whole basket of witch stuff. It's like wicker basket full of like tarot cards, blah blah blah, witch candles, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great. It's such a good sign. And then my power goes off that night, and I was like, oh my god, my power's off in the universe. What does this mean? I'm not gonna get. It's just like it was like either an outage or I don't know what it was, but it's fine. I went in the basket that they give me, lit these candles, and was like, oh, see how like your power's off, but yet you have everything you need right now to carry on in this moment. So that was good. And then I had to wait like a month, I think, before after I screen tested at least a month. So I was like, I don't know if I have this movie or not for like a solid month, you know?
Yeah. So I'm going to put a pin in this because I want to come back to talking about your experience with tarot. But I have to ask, like, your experience as a Black woman in the industry, like, what has that been like? Because I feel like, you know, things are getting better. I want to say that representation is getting better, but I don't know that for sure because it feels like it's like one step forward, two steps back all the time.
I think it's gotten better in terms of like after 2000, in the last few years, right? Once sort of Empire and all that, there was more Black people of color programming on TV. But honestly, my experiences were really fucking hard. It's really hard. And I think that people think because I have curly hair, like, and that, you know, right now, I don't know why these iPhone cameras shoot me a hair lighter than my actual skin. It's not on purpose. Like, this is just what it is, right? But I'm very medium brown. I love my color. It's really orangey brown, like an orangey brown. But, you know, I wasn't light enough to get the light-skinned treatment by Hollywood. So to be honest, you know, I was very close to that watching it, right, on the outside. And no, it was miserable. It's miserable. Oh my God. It's really hard. So that's what I'm going to say. I can't tell you how many times a white person said to me, be sassier, before I went in and auditioned for something I'd read for 3 times with my normal speaking voice. And I also made a point, I think, of never learning. As an actor, you should be able to do any character, and I can. I'm pretty good at accents and different dialects, but I just chose not to. I was like, there's a hood girl out there who can do that so much better than me, you know? Who really lived it and deserves this part. I'm here in the early 90s to show them it is not just the Cosby people with doctors for parents who are middle class or bougie or whatever the fuck you want to call it, or speak in a certain patois that is not urban, right? So that was just, I was very dedicated in all my roles to wearing my natural hair, so that people can fucking see some ladies with I love how the natural hair girls are like, you don't get to take part in the conversation anymore because your curl's too loose. And I was like, bitches, find me another girl. Find me another girl who wore goddamn natural hair the whole time. No, there were other girls, but you know what I'm saying. So it was just, honestly, it was really rough. Like I talk about this on Twitter, and I wouldn't have gotten into it if it weren't for the conventions excluding me. But like, it was miserable. Like, I couldn't get the same press as the other girls, and the other girls couldn't have given a shit. They were like, well, we're more famous. They didn't understand that they weren't making Black celebrities. So when I wasn't included at the MTV Movie Awards, their thought, the other actresses, was, well, you're not as famous as me. They didn't realize it was fucking racism, and I had to deal with this shit all by myself. And even with the last convention thing, I'm going to say this, I don't think my cast understood it completely. I know Fairuza did, but I'm not entirely sure about everybody, and that is okay, because that is their prerogative as white ladies.
Right. Right. And like, you know, people are having these conversations, these hard conversations about racism now, like in
Personally,
2020,
I
you know.
Call me up and talk to me right now, because you know, when that whole thing went down at the convention, the other girl's convention manager didn't even have those girls stay at the same hotel as me. It was very weird. It was weird. And I was given something to say. They said, here, the girls would feel comfortable if you said this. And I was like, tell them to say it.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm really happy that you spoke up about that, because, you know, it was something that when you're an attendant at the convention, you don't know what's going on. You're sort of like, well,
no, but if you look around at conventions, there are no Black people. Every convention I'm at, it's me. I'm the one Black woman. Maybe there's a guy over there from Star Trek or something, but it's very insular. Now, do I think the people who run those conventions were racist? No, not necessarily. I don't. What I think is it's systemic.
Yes.
And they go, well, we don't need her because no Black people come to our convention. Who cares? But it was annoying to be told it's not a craft reunion, even though we have the 3 other girls. Even my cast was like, it's not a craft reunion, Rachel. I was like, bitches, it is. The only reason it's not is because I'm not there and uninvited.
Yeah.
And then people were like, you're going to ruin your chances to go to more conventions. I'm like, they ain't inviting me anyway.
But I don't agree with that. I think that you speaking out like that and shining a spotlight now for the next conventions, fans will be demanding that. We'll be looking at conventions sideways.
What was so lovely, actually, at the first convention we all did gangbusters. Everyone should be real happy I put up a fuss, including all my castmates were very happy. Let's just say that, because we were like the Beatles that weekend. But I had so many lovely people come through my line and say, I am here to support you specifically.
Yes.
Because to me, that was a couple of years ago, right? But it was insane to me that it's like 20, whatever, 18, and I'm having to fucking voice off about this stuff in 2018, and then I'm getting pushback from people who are telling me I'm being unreasonable, which is a middle-aged Black lady. Let me tell you, I don't give a shit what you think about what I think. And that's what I like about being a grown-up, you guys, because when I was shooting the craft or younger, I would never have had the chutzpah, or I'm half a Jew, so it's the chutzpah, or cojones to speak up in the way that I am. I just kind of dealt with it, and was treated differently and didn't get the perks other people got. And I just went, okay, yes, and I'm showing up, happy to be here, so.
But I think that, you were speaking up, and who knows how many other people wished that they would have said that, wanted to say what you had said, and you were saying it, and I don't know, I saw that as incredibly brave, incredibly strong, admirable. I thought that was so good. And yes, I think for a lot of people, they would have been like, oh, well, she's causing waves and, this drama and stuff like that. It's just like, but
that's
I mean, like,
point.
it's an issue.
That's why Black Lives Matter and people are protesting, to cause waves, to make change. Change, because there's no reason why, even, let's forget that I got dicked on the sitcom money at the end. You know what white actors are paid exponentially for the exact same job would be double. And that is insulting. That is insane. Now, that has to do with the right agent and the right this and that too, right? But let me just tell you, by and large, white actors get paid a lot more.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. And that's like so frustrating because I mean, like, I don't know, you're such a beloved figure, and you have so many fans as a Black woman, watching your role in this movie and watching you on television. It really got me into this place of like trying to expand the expectations that I had. I didn't have to be what, sort of the expectation for what a Black girl is into, what a Black girl does. I could be,
I think hopefully by
whatever.
now, 2020, we know like what a Black girl does is what anyone does.
Right.
What any girl does, right? And I'm also very lucky that other women came along, obviously, and paved the way for me, were it not for Whoopi Goldberg being so weird and herself, I can't believe I've never done a movie with her. I love her so much. But like, people like that, or Rae Dawn Chong even, who came along with her curly hair and those big movie roles in the 80s, was the only one, or even the Cosby Show, forgetting Bill, but the variety of actors. So a lot of people came way before me to help pave the way, and maybe I will help pave the way for other people, make things a little like I think recently Showtime just the other day, and this happens, when they list the craft in the movie things, they put up the picture of the 4 of us, but they never put my name up. So I've started saying put my name up, because what I want is Black people and white people too. But people, when they looked that up, to know the Black girl had a name. Yeah. First of all, she had a fucking name. And second of all, it was important enough to give her a credit. Because when you take the credit out, what happens is 10 years from now or 20, when no one cares about the movie, people look and they see the Black person. That's just the Black person. When I was growing up, I saw a lot of movies with the Black person, I mean, at a certain point in history, statues of women weren't, now they're called dancing women. At a certain point, she had a name. She was a goddess, or maybe just a farmer's wife. I don't care. But she had a name and an identity. And so I'm like, no, I'm not stripping that away. I want people to see that. And more importantly, those kind of things affect your payment and bankability in Hollywood.
Right.
Because again, the reason I even whinged on about being left out of the publicity of the craft is that affected the pay scale of things.
Right.
And
Right.
that is most Black actors were left out of the publicity because people went, well, Black people don't give a shit. Black people like the Bible. They're not going to like this witchy movie, which, by the way, is not untrue. You don't know how many actresses came up to me and were like, Black actresses were like, I didn't want to audition for that role because, you know, witchcraft. I was like, don't worry about it. It wasn't yours. Like, it's all good.
But I mean, like this is a really important issue about like representation, you know, like how important representation is in media, and also how it ties into like systemic oppression, right? Because if you don't have that sort of representation, then the pay scale is off, and then the jobs, you know, and that leads to, so it's not like these little small acts of like acts of
No, it's all
racism.
these microaggressions add up to not owning houses and not owning money and not having the same money in the bank that your white peers do. So
right.
These are little tiny things that add up to very much. Like another story I told on Twitter was like when I first hit town in the 90s, I, you know, applied for a car loan and I think I needed $4,500 for the rest of the car. They ran my credit for $75,000. Do you know what that means? If you're not credit savvy, what that means is my credit took a huge hit because this person only makes this much at that time is asking for this much of a loan.
Right.
And, you know, there's no way my income could have supported that kind of loan. I never would have asked for 75K. So all of a sudden my credit goes down 30, 40 points. Oh. And that means I can't get what other people are getting now because do you see what I'm saying? It's insidious, totally. The ways. Yeah. Would they have done that to a cute little white girl? I don't think so. Toyota dealership in Marina Del Rey.
Drag them. Yes. Drag them.
I'll drag anyone. Actually, you know what? That's not true. In the book, I don't mention really names, to be honest, because the book is not about that. It's, you know, it's not about gossipy. And I talk about things that are embarrassing or funny or whatever with maybe they're famous, but I don't mention their names because it's not really, that's not the angle of the book at all. Stuff like that.
So can we talk about the book? I'd love to know what is the premise of the book and what do you talk about inside of it?
Oh, well, it's called True Heart Intuitive Tarot, and it's a tarot book with you know how like you buy, maybe some of you don't, but if you've ever bought a tarot deck, the books that come in them are like this big and sort of hard to understand. So this is a whole like 270 page, 80 page book that I've written out interpretations for the cards as well as just a way to explain tarot. And what I really like is some of my religious friends or other people I know have always been scared off by tarot literally said, oh my God, you broke it down in a way where it's like not scary and it's not weird and it's not devil, because even if you're super religious, the images on the cards are from the Bible. If you notice, that's the Tower of Babel. That's an angel. There's nothing out of alignment with Christ consciousness with a tarot deck. So in the end, for me, I'm very into Jungian tarot, meaning Carl Jung. It is a way to, Carl Jung said, and I'm paraphrasing, but the best way to determine or to predict the future is to understand that the present evolved from the past. So for me, tarot cards are amazing. Like, because what you see in a card, and I can look at the exact same card, we're going to see two separate things. So that's the idea, is what does it spur viscerally in you? And then I talk about an actor's way to kind of learn the cards a lot easier than, nobody wants to memorize 78 cards. So there's a way to lock into the cards in an emotional way, the way an actor would learn a line or a character. Because when we learn lines as actors, we're not learning just the line. You can't just like, what am I trying to say? What is the emotional intention behind this line? You're locking in the emotion more so than the line. So it's kind of similar to that with the tarot cards. And so yeah, there's also 22 memoir essays to go along with the 22 major arcana cards, and it's with a big major publisher. So I'll be talking a lot about it on my Instagram, but it's already for sale on Amazon right now. And quietly, like we're starting a big pre-sale launch, I guess, in 3 weeks. But some of my friends have slipped onto Amazon and bought it already. And then I also do a 2 times a month to kind of go along with the tarot book, but I keep it quiet. Like I never talk about it on my Instagram or anything. But I also have a Patreon where I do 2 streaming workshops, tarot workshops a month. And I think I kept it really inexpensive. It's $20 for 2 streaming workshops. And if someone can't afford that, don't join. I get it. Money's tight. It's a pandemic. But I think that $20 is pretty good for 2 streaming workshops with me. And we talk about the cards. And like this week coming up, I'm going to talk about a spread and how to really understand it. Because again, I look at it this way, literally for me, tarot cards are a shrink in a box. Seriously, so many people, and this is why, like, you know, I think you can tell in talking to me, I think mental health and self-help is really important, you know? And so many of us like call up our friends, dump all our, and I've been guilty of this myself. I'm not judging anyone, but so much going on, and we call up in the middle of our panic and call them, dump all this shit, you know, so much so that I have some friends, like, I understand I don't take their call. I wait 4 hours later because I don't want to live through the agita. I can listen to when they've calmed down enough to talk to me, but I can't live through the minutia of someone's brain with them as something, unless you're my boyfriend and I'm fucking you. But like, other than that, I really,
yeah.
So
it's a lot.
Me, tarot cards are an amazing way to just kind of understand, like, break it down yourself and help you think about things yourself, so that when you go and you talk to your friend, it's a little more reciprocity within the conversation, and you have calmed down enough that you are not just using your friend in a codependent way to dump your stuff, right? And I know it sounds harsh, dump your stuff, but we know what I'm talking about, right? We've all done it, or we all have friends like this, and then we go talk shit about them. And one of them things, everybody's hurting. I don't want to talk shit about my friends. I want to help them help themselves, just like I help myself. You know, the other thing I think, and I wonder if I wrote about this, but I hope I did. I don't think I did, which is that everyone out there, if you're struggling with stuff, learn what your cool down point is, right? Like if you flip out, which I'm an actress, I can't believe I'm stoic through this pandemic because I'm normally hysterical. But I learned my cool down point, which is somebody tells me something that hurts my feelings or disappoint, whatever. It's an upset. I didn't get whatever it is that upsets me. Something upsetting happens. I've learned that if I wait a couple hours before responding or reacting or, you know, then I'm able to kind of be better as a person, as opposed to being in a reactionary space. So if your cool down is 5 minutes, great. If it's 2 hours, great. If it's 6 hours, fine. Just learn what your cool down point is, because you will probably not burn as many bridges.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a really great, I've never really thought about using the tarot like that before, as sort of this, like, as sort of a workshop with yourself, with your psyche.
Yes! Like people, I guess some of the craft people are probably gonna be super disappointed. I don't have a super witchy take on stuff, right? I do believe we all have insane intuition. Some of it's buried, right? And it's about untapping it. And some of us are more in touch with it, you know, than others, et cetera, but it's there for everyone. That's why I wrote the book, because I realized, like, this is a really great thing. It's really helped me. It's helped a lot of people I know. I know some people maybe rely on it too much. That's not good either. To be honest, I haven't done tons of readings through this pandemic because, like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people, if you do one spread, like the reason I do the streaming workshop, by the way, where I do readings for people during the stream, because I can bring them up into the thing with me, is, you know, well, I don't know. There's so many things about it that I actually love, but like I said, for me, it's having them realize in that moment that they are in control. Everybody, do you understand? There's like a bit of to me, there's a bit of a pandemic in America these days with, like, and maybe it's a generational thing. I'm Gen X, so I know I should just shut up. But I have a couple of, you know, friends, and like they kind of subsist in a victim space, and that's part of their identity. Now, I'm not even saying people have truly been like, that's different. Like they got to work at. I'm talking people whose lives have been pretty good, but it's just easier to stay in the victim because. So what I think the cards are so good at is not saying you're being victim, you asshole. No, but gently going, hey, look, there's another way to look at this that will help move you forward in your life in a healthier way and set some new patterns, you know? It's all about unlearning the patterns. Our parents taught us great patterns and shitty patterns. So it's kind of about unlearning some of that stuff and relearning. That's how I look at it. I mean, like I said, I'm an actress in Hollywood, but that's what keeps me sane, is knowing that, like, who I am, despite the fact that actors, when we're on sets, are treated like, you know, don't get me wrong. I think I'm very special, and I am. But I also understand that so are other people, right? So.
See, I love, can I also say sidebar though? I love that you've been in LA for a while, but you still have this New York
oh my God, when I'm tired, my New York accent comes out. I only got like 4 hours sleep last night. I can't believe I'm not talking like this. Like, forget about it. But
every time that you say agita, I'm just like, yes.
Oh, is that like a New York word?
I've never heard it outside of New York. I've never heard it outside of New Jersey or New York.
I finally trained myself to stop saying, listen, not for nothing. But you guys, like, people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, not for nothing. And he didn't like understand what I was talking about. And
I love it. I was talking about. And I love it because you have like this perfect, because you know, everybody's like, you're either in New York or LA, right? Like it's like you can never like both. You have to choose one or the other. But
yeah.
you're like this perfect mix of both
like
LA and
in
New York
Half
energy.
Baked, when I say hot dog, like I'm really saying hot dog because that's how it's like actually in the craft, you know, the mirror, there I go. You know, I have to do this when I need to speak properly. You know, the mirror scene in the craft, we're in the mirror. And literally, Andy Fleming, director, goes, cut. And he's like, Rachel, what is that? And I'm like, it's a mirror. And he's like, no, what is that? And I'm like, it's a mirror. And he's like, it's a mirror? Because I think my line was the mirror. And they were like, what are you saying? And I was like, the mirror.
I love, you also do it in horror noir, where you keep, every time that I think about that, saying it, I always like, horror
I have to say, horror noir. So if you guys haven't seen, it's horror. You know how in my real accent, it's like horror noir. Yeah. Like, I was in this movie. It's called horror noir. Horror noir is a documentary on Shudder. It's really good, you guys. It's super fun. I think what it does great is parallels the lives of people of color with horror movies, right? And our lives with the horror sometimes that people have experienced. Parallel between that and horror movies, but it also introduces you in a funny way to plenty of movies you haven't heard of. I'm in it. Listen, when I did it, I was like, sure, you guys, I don't know. And then I was shocked at the premiere because it was good. Like, it's a really good documentary. Yeah. That's before all my hair broke off, but it's growing back. That's what you have to do. Like, oh, my hair broke off. You just gotta be like, it'll grow back. That's how you stay grounded. But yeah, no, I was very happy to be a part of that. And I think that horror does parallel many people's lives, and that is why I've actually watched a bit of horror this pandemic, I think, because like, we're living through a horror, right? Yes. So seeing the parallels. Anyway, wait, are there more questions? Because I'm babbling on. No, this is great. I like just kind of keeping it more conversation. I don't want to make you feel wait, and if anyone's interested in the Patreon, by the way, I think it's Patreon/Rachel True. I don't know.
Yeah, if you
I'm the worst. I'm terrible at this game. And by the way, I'm more fun on Patreon is for the tarot lessons, but I think I'm more active on Instagram. I used to put up little mini movie stories, like I'd literally edit them and put, really make story of my life every day. I haven't done that as much because I just wanted to kind of feel my feelings during this pandemic without shooting everything. And you know what I'm saying? Right. Being performative. I just wanted to kind of take a break, but that's probably where I'm the most fun, on Instagram. And that's where I'll be talking about the book. And, oh my God, did you guys see the Funko Pop? I think that's one of my last posts is about that, because I was really impressed. Like, they actually got her skin color kind of brown, and and the hair and everything. So like, maybe we talked about it already, but there's just not that many. So part of it is me going, okay, there's the Funko Pop for little brown girls can look at. Like with a craft, remember about a year after it was out, and I was getting off a train, and this little girl who's probably maybe 8, too young to watch the craft, frankly, but she's a little brown girl, and she was like, you. Maybe she thought I was Scary Spice, I don't know. But I'm just gonna pretend, no, she knew it was a craft. But it meant a lot. It meant so much, because I know at my age, which I didn't have very many Black children on television, none Black children, well, Sesame Street and stuff like that, but I'm saying on TV shows, network TV shows. So, I just like, I like being a part of that. I'm glad something I did mattered.
Yeah, and like I said, before when we were talking about it, I think that having that as this like huge collector's item, as this thing that's just like highly coveted, because the Funko Pops are like, people are like stabbing each other over these Funko Pops. So like, I really feel like having that that's so incredible, and that's so amazing. And like,
again, I'm really pleased that they included her, instead of leaving her off. Here's another craft story. If you, Farouza Balk and I went and attended a Beltane Festival, which is May Day Festival. Yeah. We had a witch consultant called Pat Coven, And she invited all of us, but Fruza and I were the two people. Fruza bought a witch store during the shooting of that, and I was interested in this subject matter already. So I think we're the two that were like, not that we love the movie so much, but just the subject matter. And being able to go and see this May Day thing, which is actually much more violent and sexual than you think, just like life, was interesting. It was, again, interesting because I believe another thing, actors, for those of you who want to be actors, like, do some research. Like, research is part of character building. So researching all the different characters you're going to play and all of that. It's not just memorizing the lines, it's kind of like building a backstory for the character, even if the character is very similar to you.
Right. Well, we do have some questions. One of the questions is from Kendra Dawn Grunberg, and she wanted to know, what is your dream project?
Ooh, well, I am, I'm working on 3 different writing projects right now. And one of them I'm doing, the other one is with someone, but one of them is completely alone. It's a script idea I've had forever. It's a period piece set in the Middle Ages, with brown people. So that's all I'll say about that, but I'm working on that. And it kind of involves, I love art, so it involves a painter from that time as well. So it's just a passion piece. We'll see if I get that finished and sell that. But I think I would, I actually, oddly enough, I actually really enjoy film and movies and drama, but I actually really loved the sitcom. It was fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was fun and easy. I don't mean easy to do the work. What I mean is the hours. Like, when you're shooting a movie, you can work 18 hours in a row, and then you got to get up at 4 a.m. There's nothing like a TV sitcom schedule. You know what you're doing, and there's more regularity to that than in other jobs that I've experienced. So I kind of really enjoy that. Also, making people laugh feels really good. Like, another thing, like what I talk about in my tarot book is I don't do reversals with tarot cards, which means upside down. I talk about high and low vibe, right? So what I'm saying is, when I'm on a sitcom set and there's an audience there and I'm making them laugh, the energy feels really good. It's very high vibe, So that's kind of what I mean. And then there's low vibe. And even if you're a very religious person who's not into, what it's like to walk in a room and feel the vibe. Right? You can walk in a room and be like, oh shit, what the fuck happened here? So that's all I'm talking about with intuition and vibes and stuff like that. And I prefer high and low vibe to reversals, because reversal always felt, at least to me, negative. And each and every card has, even the worst ones, there is a side of help, even if it's like a release and relief you don't want, but it will be better for you. So
yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I feel like sitcoms, God, I feel like I would be exhausted after, so many episodes, so many days. But I mean, like, you're right. Like, coming in, hearing the audience, being in that sort of environment, it sounds really, really interesting.
Well, it's one of the few things you do in front of a live audience, I guess, is why I probably liked it more so, because the drama is probably more fun and meaty character work, right? Sitcoms, like, hey, what's up, Dee Dee? But performing in front of an audience is super fun. It's closest thing to stage work, which I haven't really done it many of. The first thing I ever did was a film, other than like my friends who started in theater. Like, I was like, I'm going to go do the pictures. So, it's all different, but I kind of like that. I would also like to do, my dream project would be something I wrote and created and produced. How's that?
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I really hope, because, I think that, of course, movies will come back because we need stories. Like, storytelling will never come.
Actually, what I hope happens, and I'm probably in the very small minority here, is I think since 9/11, I love superhero stuff too, but I'm super saturated at this point, and I think it was a direct reflection to how helpless America felt in 9/11. That's when superheroes and heroes, all those things became super. It's okay. Now we want small, intimate stories again. I do. I'm sorry. I mean, I may be in the minority, but I came in the 90s with small indie films or big budget films, but they had these stories and dialogue, and it wasn't just superhero stuff. And again, there's a place and a time for that. But kind of like, I remember when news shows became popular on TV, and every night out of the week, there wasn't as many TV shows. It was like Dateline and news shows and news shows and news shows. And now it's like superheroes. So I wouldn't mind getting back to storytelling.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right about that, because you know, you think about how many people have to be on set for those films, and it's like a crew of like, it's like a small army, you
Yeah.
know, and like
For big
we,
budget stuff, it's true. Also, I don't
yeah,
know that we need movies that are $200 million. You know what? I mean, we do, but we don't. I mean, I know I sound insane, right? Because I'm in
no,
Hollywood, but I just don't know that we need so much excess, and it has to do this much money to even break even, and it just kind of seems like a dick pulling measuring contest after a while. So not always. There's some great movies. Like I love that Charlize Theron one on
The Old Guard.
Netflix. It was so good, wasn't it?
So good. God, it was so good.
So, but even that,
Mhm.
different than a superhero one,
Right.
right? Even though she's whatever, I don't want to ruin it for people. But it was a story. It has story in there.
Yeah, and it's much smaller, much more intimate, even though it is a superhero movie. So
that's right.
yeah, I'm obsessed with it.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, next question.
So we have a question from Samantha Greenleaf. And she wanted to know about how was your process going through the movie. Your character in The Craft deals with racism, and how did you process having to deal with racism both personally, but then also in this film? How was that for you?
Kind of like life. I mean, to be totally honest, like I think I felt like, yeah, this is what I deal with all the time.
Yeah.
In my normal life. So
I mean, but that's kind of sad to me, you know, because it's just like if you know have
true.
to,
Like like these are all, again, I have dealt with some bigger racism situations, like being attacked in a bowling alley with my friends who they're flicking his nose and calling him kike, and being attacked with bowling balls. So blah 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 blah. But I've also, it's probably, those are like, right in your face stuff, but it's probably the microaggressions that you deal with, you know, in the workplace that sort of build up too, that are really hard to deal with. So for me with that, I was just like, yeah, this is what it's like. Yeah, there's always someone making fun of my hair or telling me it's unruly or whatever. So it was just like life. I mean, you know, like honestly, I think for any brown people at this particular time too, aren't we all looking, and I'm a mixed chick. I got a white dad and a black mom, but I'm still looking around and assessing, like there are many of my friends who have called me and talked to me, white friends, and expressed how they feel, and that's great. And there are plenty who haven't, and we're going to see where they fit in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah, no, I think that everybody's kind of going through that right now. I mean, like,
and I think that's okay to do, because some people are allies, some aren't, some want to be, but they just can't get over themselves. And that's not for me. They can go work it out with someone else. You know what I mean? But to be honest, like I was isolated, even on that set. It's like Cruz and I are pretty tight. We talk on a regular basis. And I was saying to her, actually, we're tighter now than we were when we shot the movie, because what I was told was, you know, you can't hang out with her, Rachel. You're the black chick. You're going to get fired quicker than anyone. My agent literally said, if you do the same things these white girls do, they'll fire you and they won't fire them. Yeah. It's literally what I was told. So I already entered in like, and then I was told to stay. My agents and everyone told me to stay away from Fairuza, because like whatever she got into, if I was attached to it, I would be the scapegoat, which would have probably been true, to be 100% honest. So I didn't really hang out with her. And then we're like, isn't it interesting that kind of racism is the reason we didn't connect as much then, you know? Because it was like, I'm the expendable one. I mean, literally human resources, which are the people who hire you, said to my agents, we have another black girl, tell her to take this deal, take it or leave it. Oh and God. They paid, and they offered some white boy twice as much as me for Skeet's part, who didn't end up taking it. But I was like, how am I ever going to get ahead or catch up to my peers if I'm constantly da-da-da-da-da? So I think it was pretty healthy for me to just use my normal. I'd gone to an all-white high school. My parents moved to upstate New York. It was a public high school in upstate New York. And it was a kindergarten through 12th grade where I was the only black woman. So, you know, I had plenty to draw on. How's that?
Right. Right. Wow. I mean, how do you keep positive in this industry? I mean, like, how do you keep going in this industry with
I think
all
because I'm
these,
an artist first,
yeah,
I'm not trying to, again, when I think if there are young people listening and you want to be a famous actor, I totally get it. That's the driving force, that passion, that's great. I just think when you get to a certain point, right, you realize like it's not fame. I
yeah,
don't, I mean, I want to be successful in my life, all the things I do, but I'm not really chasing fame, right? So
right,
I want to be the best artist I can be, whether it's an actor, whether I'm writing, acting, sewing, painting, whatever it is I do. I think my whole life is art, to be honest.
yeah,
Everything I do is part of creating art. So I think if you stay true to the art and what your goal is with art and what you are trying to affect in yourself and other people, then you don't get affected by Hollywood. Also, just have to take it all with a grain of salt. Like I remember, like on my I knew this lesson already, but on my sitcom when I did half and half, I think I tripped because I'm clumsy. And somebody, one of the crew guys goes, "Don't fall, you're our meal ticket." And the thing is, it was like, and that wasn't offensive, it's fine. I knew exactly what he meant. Like, you're one of the actors. If you're off or if you hurt yourself and we don't work for a week. But when he said that, what I thought is, yeah, it's not me. It's not me. It's anyone. And I think I'm very special, by the way. But what I'm saying is it's not me. It is anyone who's in that particular position. Now, I'm
right,
special in that I got to that position. Not everyone gets those roles or those things. But really, it's anyone who's in that position is treated a certain way. And so you have to sort of learn to believe what's real and what's not, like what's smoke up your ass. And, I
right.
like to have good friends who aren't sycophantic.
Yeah,
There's
that's
enough of
good.
that on
Yeah.
Instagram and Twitter, right? Like,
Yes, yes,
we all
that's
got
true.
enough internet sycophantic friends, but like the real friends. Yeah.
Um, so we were talking earlier about tarot, and I saw your video with Billie Eilish,
Oh, yeah.
which
Super
was really,
cool.
yeah, really? Okay, that's good. That's good to know. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that in the past few years, it feels like the kind of non-Christian spirituality has become more and more popular and more accepted. It feels like more people are getting into, less people are getting into like hard going to church Christianity, no homosexuality and all that kinds of a form. And more people are getting into their spiritual selves. I know a lot more women of color are getting more into spiritual practices and things like that, which is like why I think that your book is coming out at the right time. But I wanted to
Hopefully,
know.
well, I think, listen, I'm not religious and I wasn't raised religiously. And I thanked my stepmother for that. And she said, that was your father, which thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Because but to be totally respectful, I think religion is beautiful. I think people are walking away from some of it because of the dogma. And you're right. If you're gay or trans or marry outside your color or whatever the fuck it is, you don't want to be judged on any of that. And we all know the Bible's been twisted and the words have been perverted. So what I think is it's important, like, I'm not religious at all like that. I'm spiritual, but I've read the Bible. So I would suggest people who are religious to read the actual Bible themselves to see what the words in there are, because so many things have been plucked out and taken out of context or made up, right? So I think it's great. My ultimate goal would be to have a little bit of both, right? If some of you are really into church or temple or whatever it is, or mosque, great. And this is just another thing. Here's my thing. Super religious people always say, like, God is everywhere. God is within you. Then if God is within you, why don't you use a goddamn pack of tarot cards to talk to him or her, right? Like, it's just about getting in touch with your intuition. So anything I can use to connect me to my higher self, which other people would call God, I think, right? But I guess or whatever, if you're super religious. But I think there's room. We're in the change. We're in a period of change. Tremendous change. And I think if religion is clever, it'll stick around and it'll find a way to be a part of the modern times, as it always has morphed and changed over the millennia, that we've lived through. We've gone from many gods to one god to this god, it's always going to keep morphing and changing. It's a little like science, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. And I think it's really interesting. I mean, I've always been really interested in spiritual practices, kind of what my family is from the South, and so what they call like root magic, which is, much
Oh,
more of
yeah,
like
yeah.
the
See, I'm
earthly,
so northern it hurts, by the way. Like, my people aren't even southern. Every time I go down there, I'm like, what is happening?
I mean, like, in my family, they're like deep South, like, so it's like Mississippi, Louisiana, those kind of.
Oh, gotcha.
Where
I did
they're,
go to New Orleans to do some research for my book and met with Miriam at the Voodoo Temple there because there's
oh yeah,
actually really interesting, you guys. It's a little dry, but it's
mm,
interesting information. Jaimin Hansu has a documentary on voodoo about Benin. Benin and Togo
really,
are countries that a lot of the slaves came from. When you do your
yeah,
DNA, you're gonna have some Benin and Togo in there. Anyway, so he's from there, and he kind of, it's a little dry, but he goes through what voodoo was to Africans, which was beautiful and not what you think it is at all, to
right,
be
right,
honest. So I would say watch that if you're interested, because I'm interested in all different things and cultures. I'll watch a documentary on, Judaism as well as Islam as well as this, because I want to understand how they're all different and how they intersect.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think that that's really interesting. And I think that now, because of the fact that people are sort of looking for answers, people are kind of a little lost right now or feeling a little frantic, like what we were talking about before, that they might be looking for more of like, how can I help things? How can
But
I
that
help,
is why, like, I do
Yeah,
love tarot, because
right.
again, it's a solo thing. You can do it on your own. You get that pack of cards, which are inexpensive, and you look at it and you figure it out yourself, which people don't realize is so empowering.
Yeah,
And that's my one problem with like victim. Not that I haven't lived in a victim space. I fucking have. We all have. But I can't stay there because to me it's unempowering. I do not
yeah,
feel powerful in a victim place for long.
right.
I can stay in one, by the way, for longer than I think. But what I'm saying is eventually I get out and then I start to feel more powerful. And I wish that, I think when you've been in a space of victimhood for so long, you forget, you don't understand. You start to feel that that's power. And,
Right.
I'm just really big on everyone feeling their personal power because the world is fucking crazy.
Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I just had one last question. I feel like there is a new generation of people that are discovering the craft, who were not there at the time when it was released, and they're sort of rediscovering like this amazing new movie. And I wanted to know what were your thoughts on like the legacy of the film, because I also know that there's supposed to be like a new reiteration of it, but the original version is such a
Well, the other one doesn't have anything to do with me.
right.
That's that.
Right.
But I do think, you know what, Roosevelt and I have giggled one time on the phone. We were like, we were kind of instrumental in helping bring witchcraft and paganism like
Yes.
to the
Yes.
forefront of pop culture. Like,
Yes.
we were giggling about that on the phone because we were like, that's crazy, but that is the power of the medium of film, and I think there's room for plenty of witch movies. You know what I mean? So hopefully whatever they're working on will be decent. I don't know. But yeah, it means a lot. Like you do a movie, especially you don't have cell phones. You don't have any of the modern stuff, right? And you think people are never going to nobody's going to give a shit. So it's kind of amazing to me that it's endured. And it makes me feel good because I think for me personally, as far as my own career, I've been in some weird culty stuff, like Greg Araki's Nowhere is a Sundance movie I did that has a very specific cult following, and I had a boyfriend and a girlfriend in it, and it was very interesting, weird, kooky movie. But that I get a lot of weird, culty fans from, and then Half Baked, being Mary Jane, like. Every time there was a sushi place that would play Mary Jane all the time, and they were like, "You guys, we're doing it for you. Do you get that?" And I was like, "No, I never once put that together. Actually, because I don't sit around and go, I'm Mary Jane." But I've done some fun roles and fun things like that people still are interested in, and it kind of does, it tickles me because I was an avid film watcher when I was a kid, and I loved seeing those actors. So the fact that there's someone out there who feels that way about me is crazy.
I mean, but really, truly, like as far as like stoner movies go, that Half Baked is a classic. Here in Seattle, that's a classic film. Greg Araki,
are you in Seattle?
I'm in Seattle. Yeah.
How's it going there?
It's going in a direction. Yeah, it's going. You know, and thank God they made like weed like an essential service, so that like I feel like
I'm gonna say
everybody's
this, like, it's been my friend. It's probably why I'm able to be so stoic, to be honest. I mean, again,
they were
because
like,
don't know again, people know which vices work for you. You know, I used to do a podcast with Alec Mapa, who played Adam on Half and Half, the Asian character, right? He's one of my really good friends, and we used to do a podcast together. And one day he was like, I want to get stoned. We're going to do an experiment and do one high five. It's like, all right. And then we did it. And he said, Rachel, you're absolutely no different. You're only nicer and calmer. He was like, you can't even tell you're high. He goes, you're just nicer and calmer. And I was like, yeah, that's why I like weed.
I mean, you know, it's doing wonders for people, and I think it's doing better than the pharmaceutical industry, and that's, you know.
Well, also, again, if people, you know, there's CBD with no THC, and that's perfectly valuable. It totally works, right? It's not about, you know, it's about feeling good in my body naturally.
Yeah.
Not about being blotto high. Like, I mean, some of you, like, I remember the first time I got high and giggled forever. That's amazing. And I still can do that. But, like, really, I'm just using it, like, as a plant medicine as it is. Like, that I don't take any pills. I don't take Xanax. I don't take anything. That's all I got is some natural plants.
Well, I mean, you know, you're so like legendary, and I really feel like you inspired an entire generation, particularly of Black witches, you know. We are talking to people on the internet about this movie, and about, you know, interviewing you and my friends. We were joking that the way our parents were afraid that Harry Potter was going to like radicalize us and turn us into witches, they should have been worried about us watching The Craft, because The Craft radicalized us.
That's true,
know?
for like a silly Hollywood movie, because it is kind of silly at points. It did actually, you know, spark the interest. Anyway, all right, so I want to leave you guys with some of my handles, which is on Twitter. I'm at Rachel True. That's what I am on Twitter, just at Rachel True, which I've been more active on, I think, lately. And then on Instagram, I'm at True Rachel True. It's my first last name, and then Rachel True. True Rachel True, because this little white girl will not give me my name back. And I literally keep going, aren't you tired of the brothers hitting you up?
I accidentally added her, and then she was like, this isn't me. And I was like, why do you have this name? There's someone.
Give me my name.
Give her name. Yes.
I do want my name on there. But I am verified under True Rachel True, you guys. And then if any of you guys are interested in the tarot lessons, it's I think it's Patreon / Rachel True. I think, and if not, you can Google that and find it. It's Patreon.
We'll try to find
it. Patreon, like everyone's stuff. So those are the main sites I hang out on.
We'll try to find all the links, and then we'll put them below.
And then Amazon, my book is True Heart Intuitive Tarot. And so if you Google True Heart Intuitive Tarot, then it comes up, because I don't know the page for that either.
Do you know when it's going to be released? Do you know?
Oh, yeah. It's coming out on beginning of October. I'm not sure if it's the 7th or the 15th. But it really helps me out if people pre-order it, because all those count towards you maybe having a bestseller in the first week of sales. So I guess that's why we do pre-sale. I don't know. I'm learning as I go. But it'll be out in October. So definitely September and October, I'll be talking about it more. It's a little weird time, though. I mean, I hope people hear about it, because the election and stuff will be going on. But hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe we might even be let out of our houses by then. Who knows? But I mean, and if you haven't already thought about it, if you ever do a YouTube page where you do like tarot and stuff like that, like I would subscribe.
Never.
Okay, never mind.
No.
Never mind.
You know why?
It's a bad idea.
There's too many people on YouTube doing tarot. I watch some of them as research for the book, and there's too many people bullshitting the way. The other reason I don't like that at all. The reason I teach the workshop, so you can learn how to do the cards yourself, is when you turn on YouTube and you watch a Gemini reading, for example, there's 60 million Geminis. That reader isn't picking up on your specific energy. So my feeling is it's too easy for people to go to YouTube and go, here's one saying he's coming back, and to watch that video as opposed to, you know, he's not coming back, honey.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think YouTube readers are great, but a little dangerous. How's that? That's why when I do my Patreon, it is if I'm going to read for someone, they're literally up in the thing right next to me, and it's us, their energy. And most of it is me explaining to you how to learn the cards yourself so that you can do it yourself. I know, I'm sorry I went on a little YouTube tirade there. It's just I've watched enough to know that like a lot of people are ex-Vegas card dealers who have switched to reading tarot cards online, and it is not helping you. It is low vibe. Not all of them, but there are some good ones in there, by the way. There certainly are. So no, I'm not disparaging. There's some even I like, but what I'm saying is by and large, be careful.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Thank you so much, Rachel, for your time.
Wait, one more thing. I'm doing. I'm coming out in a horror movie called Agnes. That'll be out, I think, in the fall. By the way, Agnes. It's about nuns.
Okay, yes. Super excited. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for the book. We'll put all the links below the video so that people can check that all out. I appreciate your time, your words, your stories, and just you. I just appreciate your you, and I hope that you stay well during all of this.
You too. Thanks you guys so much for inviting me on this, and
absolutely.
I hope I was marginally entertaining.
Are you kidding? Yes, you were magnificent. Okay, the skin alone, the skin alone gave me life. So thank you.
All right, take it easy, you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you guys. Bye. I'll distract people. Thank you guys so much.